So for the past 1 week, I was tackling the issue of excessive valve train noise coming out from Hero's Xpulse 200, and it's the same engine that's used in Extreme 200, Extreme 200S, and Xpulse 200T. So I was tackling the issue of excessive valve train noise. I complained that to Hero. They said, no, it's completely alright, you just need to calm down and just not listen to it. So I didn't take their word. I opened the valve cover and tried to set the valve clearances myself. So I set the intake valve clearance to 0.07 millimeters and the exhaust valve clearance to 0.102 millimeters. However, I was incorrect because when I set the exhaust valve clearance to 0.102 millimeters, I didn't notice the fact that I was able to slip the 0.127 millimeter feeler gauge in there. So the exhaust was a little bit loose. I didn't notice that straight away. After I bolted everything down, I started the engine and you guys heard the sound. I realized that I definitely made a mistake somewhere. I reopened it and then measured all the valve clearances again. I noticed the intake to be at 0.07, that's where I set it, but the exhaust was at 0.127 millimeters. So that's an issue. I first started to experiment with tight valve clearances. So according to the service manual, the valve clearances for the intake should be 0.07 plus 0.01 millimeter or minus 0.02 millimeters. So the lowest you can go on the intake is 0.05 millimeters, and for the exhaust the service manual suggests a valve clearances of 0.09 millimeters plus 0.01 or minus 0.02. So the lowest amount of valve clearance you can set for the exhaust is 0.07 millimeters. So I tried that out. I set the intake to 0.05 and the exhaust to 0.07. After I bolted everything down and cranked over the engine came back to life. It was running a little bit hot. Hot in the sense means when I just started it straight away, it idled for a little bit and died on me. So it happened a couple of times. So that didn't give me the clue that the engine is literally running hot, that the valve clearances are just too tight. So I didn't get that fact. Secondly, then I think there was something wrong with the spark plug, so I removed the spark plug only to find out there are some hot spots on there, and that might have only been caused by the valves because I didn't touch the air fuel something. Alright, I didn't touch the air fuel screw on the carburetor. I just adjusted the valves. Since I adjusted the valves a little bit too tight, the engine was running a little bit too hot, and that's never a good thing. You might have a burnt valve, and that's like an entire different kind of problem. I again opened the valve cover, then checked the valve clearances again, and this time I've set the valve clearances to 0.06 on the intake side and 0.102 on the exhaust side. And this time that 0.102 has been verified that it is 0.102. I got myself a good set of calipers, Mitu Toyo. I measured every single feeler gauge and wrote them down on a piece of paper, and then used those feeler gauges to measure the valve clearances. So this time when I say my valve clearances are at 0.06 for the intake and 0.102 for the exhaust, I am absolutely certain that to be true because I have measured the feeler gauges beforehand. So after doing that, the engine noise reduced significantly. It didn't completely die down, means completely became all smooth and no noise at all, means like pin drop silence. It didn't go there, didn't go Honda level. So this is the sound of the Xpulse 200 before the valve clearance adjustment. This is the sound of Xpulse 200's engine after the final valve clearance adjustment. Before, after, before, after. I have come up with a conclusion that Hero made a very bad engine design choice, a design choice while making this engine. They wanted to invest as little money as possible in making a 200cc engine. They did that by reboring a 150cc Achiever engine and then just putting the old assemblies back on there. Everything, I didn't think they took the time to eliminate the valve train noises. They see the performance figures are okay, there is no there is no improper sealing or something. The valves worked, there was just excessive noise. They didn't care, means like, okay, this bike is working, it's just making a little bit more noise, that's all. Customers will buy. Customers did buy it. But if Hero could have just had the foresight that if an engine makes noises like that, if an engine has valve train noises, people presume that there is something wrong with the engine, even though everything is all right. All right, it's like Honda engines. When you ride a Honda bike and you realize, man, this thing is butter smooth, this engine is good, even though they might be the same configuration, you will feel like the engines are great. Hero has designed its 200cc engine. TVS, also an Indian bike manufacturer, has designed its 200cc engine based on the same principle. They rebored their old engines. Hero rebored a 150cc, TVS rebored a 180cc. But TVS had the they had the foresight to use an oil cooler on the engine. So by installing the oil cooler, they got the temperature of the engine significantly down. By decreasing the temperature, you could keep narrower tolerances. Narrower tolerances means significantly less movement, lateral or vertical, significantly less backlash in a system. By narrow tolerances, you will be able to perceive that the engine is running smoother. So if Hero could have done that, means properly design a 200cc engine, it would be really great, but they just half-assed it and threw it away. There is a lot of lateral play. So in order to take that out, I need to shim that, means put washers on the rocker arm shafts between the rocker arms, just so that it could take some amount of lateral movement. So definite material of choice, my material of choice would be probably a phosphor bronze, because it's a bearing material. It wouldn't harm the aluminum rocker arm cage or the rocker arm steel rocker arms. It wouldn't harm any one of those. Or I should use a Teflon one. Teflon, a very high temperature plastic, great lubricating properties. It's used as a bushing in some applications, so I think a Teflon washers would be good. So I'll keep looking into this issue. If you're facing with this issue and you have found out a solution for this, in the comments leave a comment, and if you can possibly take some time and make a video that you actually fixed it, I would be very happy. I would follow your process. All right, thank you for watching, thank you for your time.